You've been trying to become someone you can finally feel at peace being. And it's so subtle, you may not have noticed that even your healing has started to feel like pressure. Not loud pressure, not the kind anyone else can see, the quiet kind, the kind that lives under your breath, under your smile, under the way you keep asking yourself, am I doing this right? Even when you're alone. And I want you to hear this gently. That effort alone tells me how much you've been carrying. Because you don't work that hard to become better unless some part of you learned a long time ago that being yourself wasn't safe enough, or lovable enough, or welcome enough. You don't keep reaching for the next book, the next practice, the next insight, unless you've been trying to solve a feeling you can't quite name. So let's start here, very simply. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are not awakening wrong. You're waking up in the exact way many hearts wake up, by first noticing the exhaustion of trying to earn your own permission to exist. Let that settle for a moment. If you've been feeling tender lately, or unusually reflective, or like your old motivations don't work the way they used to, it isn't because something is wrong with you. It's because something true is emerging, and truth has a way of rearranging everything that once depended on pretending. Have you noticed that? How does life start to feel less satisfying when you can't lie to yourself anymore? And yes, I said lie. Not because you're dishonest, but because survival teaches us to edit ourselves, to choose what's acceptable, to hide what feels too much, to shrink the parts that make other people uncomfortable, to perform a version that gets applause or peace, or at least fewer consequences. You've been carrying this, and I want to honor that. There's a quiet moment, often when you're alone, when something in you whispers, this can't be all there is. And it isn't despair, it's memory. It's not a dramatic thought. It might come while you're washing dishes, or driving, or staring at your ceiling in the dark. It comes like a soft ache that is also strangely beautiful, because beneath it is a knowing. There is more to you than the life you've been living from the surface. And maybe you've tried to name it in 100 ways. You call it restlessness. You call it longing. You call it emptiness. You call it a spiritual itch. You call it the desire to find your purpose. You call it the need to heal your inner child. You call it awakening. But beneath the labels, it's the same sacred thing. It is your true nature tapping the inside of your ribs, saying, "Beloved, come home." And if that makes you emotional, even a little, that's not weakness. That's recognition. Something in you recognizes. I see you trying so hard to hold it all together, to be kind, to be conscious, to be evolved, to be the version of you who doesn't get triggered, doesn't fall apart, doesn't need too much, doesn't make mistakes. And I also see the quiet heartbreak inside that effort. Because the more you try to become worthy, the more you confirm the old belief that you aren't. This is important to hear. Many people approach spirituality the way they approach self-improvement, like a ladder, like a checklist, like a project with milestones. And there can be beauty in growth, yes. there can be healing, there can be learning. And there is a point where the latter becomes a trap, because your true nature is not at the top of anything. It is what you are before you climb. Your heart already knows this. Even if your mind argues, even if your habits resist, even if your life hasn't caught up. So let's ask a different question than the ones you've been asking. Not how do I fix myself, not how do I become my highest self, not how do I finally get it right. What if the real question is, what am I when I stop trying to earn love? What if I told you the miracle you are looking for is not a moment you reach, it is a reality you remember. And the remembering doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. It requires tenderness. It requires the willingness to stop turning your own existence into a problem to solve. What if the miracle isn't a dramatic awakening, but the instant you stop arguing with your own existence? Just notice what happens in your body as you hear that. Perhaps your shoulders soften a little. Perhaps your jaw unclenches. Perhaps your chest feels tight because something in you wants to believe it and something in you is afraid to. That's okay. That's so human. Because most of us were trained, explicitly or quietly, to measure our right to belong. We were praised for performing. We were corrected for expressing. We were rewarded for pleasing. We were loved in ways that felt conditional, even if no one meant harm. So your nervous system learned to be safe, be acceptable. And then you grew up and you carried that strategy into everything, into your relationships, into your career, into your body, into your spirituality. And now here you are, sensing that the strategy is running out of road. And that's not a crisis, that's a threshold. There is a reason this title says, Awaken to the Miracle. Because the miracle is not something you manufacture. You don't create the sun by waking up and opening the curtains. You simply allow yourself to see what was always there. And you are like that. Your true nature doesn't need to be built. It needs to be revealed. And revelation has a very particular feeling. It often begins as discomfort. Because when you start awakening, what hurts isn't life itself. It's the distance between who you really are and who you've been pretending to be. If you've been feeling like you don't fit in your own life lately, it's because your soul is outgrowing the costume. That's what this feels like. And the mind, understandably, panics. The mind says, what do I do? What's the next step? How do I make this go away? But your heart says something different. Your heart says, stay, listen, be here. So I'm going to share something with you. Something I've come to understand after watching so many people walk through this. The self you think you are is mostly a collection of strategies, and I say that with tenderness, because those strategies once kept you safe. You learn to be the achiever because approval, felt like oxygen. You learned to be the caretaker because harmony was survival. You learned to be the funny one because humor protected you. You learned to be the strong one because there was no space for your softness. You learned to be independent because needing felt dangerous. You learned to be spiritual because transcendence felt safer than feeling. And none of this makes you wrong. It makes you brilliant. It means you adapted. And now, the miracle is that you no longer have to live as your adaptations. Because your true nature is not a strategy. It is presence. It is awareness. It is the quiet, luminous I am that remains when you stop performing. Somewhere deep inside, you've always known there is a you that remains untouched by every mistake, every loss, every season of confusion. That untouched you is not naive. It's not unaware. It's not bypassing reality. It's simply whole. And when you touch that wholeness, even for a second, something in your life starts to rearrange itself around truth. Have you ever noticed that some moments feel like they hold more life than others? A moment when you're laughing so deeply you forget to manage your face. A moment when you're crying and you stop apologizing for it. A moment when you're standing outside and the air feels like a blessing and you suddenly remember you're alive. Those moments, those are not random. They are glimpses of your true nature peeking through the cracks of your control. And here's the part that most people miss. The miracle isn't the glimpse. The miracle is that you can learn to live from there, not permanently elevated, not forever peaceful, not floating above your humanity, but rooted, real, free in a way that doesn't depend on circumstances. And yes, I said free. Because use your true nature is freedom, not from life, but within it. Now let's make this very practical, because I know your mind wants something grounded, your heart wants poetry, and your mind wants directions. Both deserve care. If you felt frustrated that you understand the truth but don't live it, it's because remembering is not mental, it's relational. You don't remember your true nature by thinking harder. You remember it the way you remember a song, by feeling it in you. You remember it the way you remember love, by being in contact with it. So the question becomes, what brings you into contact with yourself? Not your persona, not your image, not your roles. You. Let's explore 3 places where your true nature is already trying to meet you every day, whether you notice or not. The first place is in your body. Your body already recognizes this truth. Even if your mind doubts it, your body knows when you are betraying yourself. Your body knows when you are shrinking. Your body knows when you are performing. Your body knows when you are lying with your smile. And your body also knows when you are home. Think about it. Have you ever said yes when you meant no and felt that tiny sinking sensation, like a small animal curling in your chest? That is not weakness. That is your true nature saying, "This is not aligned." And have you ever told the truth, gently, imperfectly, and felt a strange wave of relief, even if the outcome was uncertain? That relief, that is your true nature saying, "Yes, this is me." So one way to awaken to your true nature is to stop treating your body like a machine you drive and start treating it like a sacred messenger. Just for a breath right now, notice where your body is holding. Is it the forehead, the throat, the chest, the belly? You don't need to fix it. You don't need to analyze it. Just notice, and let that noticing be kind. Because awareness without kindness becomes another form of violence. And we are not here to be violent with ourselves anymore. The second place your true nature meets you is in your emotions. This is where many people get confused because spirituality has been taught as rise above, be positive, choose love, as if sadness or anger means you're failing. But your emotions are not a spiritual problem. They are a spiritual doorway. Anger often arises when a boundary has been crossed. Grief often arises when love has nowhere to go. Fear often arises when you are standing at the edge of change. And numbness often arises when you have been carrying too much for too long without feeling safe to set it down. So what if, instead of trying to get rid of your emotions, you listened for the truth inside them? Not the story, not the drama, the truth. Because your true nature is not emotionless. Your true nature is spacious enough to hold emotion without becoming it. This is important. You are not your feelings, and you are not separate from your feelings. You are the one who can hold them. You are the sky, and your feelings are weather. Weather can be intense, yes. Weather can be loud. But it passes, and the sky remains. Now, the third place your true nature meets you is in your relationships. This is where awakening becomes very real, very fast. Because it's one thing to feel spiritual when you're alone in meditation. It's another thing when someone misunderstands you, dismisses you, pressures you, or pulls you into an old pattern. And if you've been experiencing more relational friction lately, more sensitivity, more irritation, more clarity, it's because your system is refusing to abandon itself. If people have been dropping away from your life, it's because misalignment becomes intolerable when you stop betraying your own truth. And that can be painful. It can feel like loss. So I want to say this softly. You are not being punished. You are being purified. Not in a moral way, in an energetic way. Like when you stop drinking something that made you sick and your body craves clean water. You are craving clean connection. Connection where you don't have to contort to be loved. Connection where you don't have to disappear to keep the peace. Connection where you don't have to earn your right to be here. Have you noticed how exhausting it is to be around people who require your performance? And have you noticed how healing it is to be around someone where you can just exhale? That exhale is a clue. Your true nature doesn't tighten you, it softens you. And the miracle is that you can start choosing from that softness without losing your strength. Now I want to open a loop with you because there's something happening in this awakening that most people don't name clearly, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. But first, you need to understand why your becoming has felt so hard. Many spiritual seekers carry a hidden belief. If I become enlightened enough, I will never hurt again. And when pain still happens, because it does, because you are human, they think they failed. But your true nature doesn't erase your humanity. It holds it. It dignifies it. It brings you into a relationship with life that is kinder and truer. So here's what I've come to understand. Most suffering is not caused by what is happening. Most suffering is caused by the argument you have with what is happening. The internal fight, the resistance, the self-blame, the shame story, the I shouldn't feel this, the I should be over this, the I should be better by now, and yes, I said should. Those little words can be heavy chains. What if the miracle is not escaping discomfort? What if the miracle is stopping the war with yourself inside discomfort? Because the moment you stop fighting yourself, you meet your true nature, right there, in the middle of the mess, not later, not after you fix it, not after you heal it perfectly. Now, this is where I want you to be very gentle with yourself, because the mind loves to turn everything into a task. So don't make this into a task. Make it into a relationship. Here is a simple practice, soft, doable, and real. The next time you notice you're tense or anxious or self-critical, pause for just one breath and ask, what am I believing right now about my worth? Not what am I feeling? Not how do I fix it? What am I believing about my worth? And then offer yourself a new truth, like you would offer warm tea to someone trembling, something simple, something present tense, something your body can receive. Even here, I am worthy. Even in this, I belong. Even now, I am learning to love myself. You might notice resistance. You might notice cynicism. You might notice grief. That's okay. Resistance is not a sign you're doing it wrong. Resistance is often the part of you that has been protecting you from disappointment. So don't fight the resistance. Include it. You can say, I see you too, because awakening isn't excluding parts of you. It's including all of you in truth. Now let's close that loop I opened. Here's the thing most people don't say clearly. You don't awaken by becoming more special. You awaken by becoming more honest. You awaken when you stop using spirituality to escape your pain and start using presence to meet your life. You awaken when you stop chasing experiences and start noticing what is already here. And what is already here is you, not the version of you you present. The one behind it, the one who has been watching silently for years. The one who has survived everything you thought would break you. The one who is still here. That is your true nature. It's not a concept. It's the one who is listening right now. Do you feel that? Not as an idea, as a quiet awareness. Just for a moment, notice the fact that you are aware. You are aware of these words. You are aware of your breath. You are aware of your thoughts. That awareness is steady. Thoughts change. Sensations change. Emotions change. But awareness remains. And you can rest in that. You can let that hold you. This is the miracle. Because the world taught you to identify with your thoughts, to believe your inner critic is truth, to believe your fear is a prophecy, to believe your shame is a sentence. But your true nature is the one who can notice all of that without becoming it. And when you live from that noticing, you stop being dragged by every wave. You become the ocean. Now I know some part of you might be thinking, okay, but what about my problems? What about my bills, my heartbreak, my family, my body, my past? Yes, all of that matters. And your true nature doesn't dismiss it. Your true nature meets it with steadiness, because problems are real and suffering is optional. And I don't say that to minimize you. I say it to liberate you. You may still feel grief and not abandon yourself. You may still feel fear and not punish yourself. You may still make mistakes and not define yourself by them. You may still face uncertainty and not collapse into it. This is the difference. Awakening is not becoming a person who never struggles. Awakening is becoming a person who no longer hates themselves for struggling. Let that land fully. And here's another truth that's tender and powerful. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real, and the real you is already miraculous. Not because. So you're extraordinary in the world's way, because you exist, because you are conscious, because you can love, because you can choose again, because you can begin again. Now let's bring this into daily life, where it actually counts. In the coming days, you might start to notice tiny doorways, ordinary moments where you can choose presence over performance. A doorway might look like pausing before you reply to someone and asking, "What is true for me right now?" A doorway might look like feeling the urge to over-explain and instead letting your no be simple. A doorway might look like noticing you're scrolling to numb and choosing to place a hand on your chest instead. A doorway might look like standing in your kitchen and realizing you don't have to rush. You don't have to earn rest. You can rest because you are alive. And if you've never been allowed to believe that, I want to say it again, softly. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to earn love. You don't have to earn your right to be here. This is not laziness. This is truth. You were born worthy. Your heart already knows this. And yes, I'm saying it in present tense. Because worth is not a future reward for good behavior. Worth is a fact. Now sometimes people hear this and they worry, if I stop striving, will I stop growing? No, sweetheart, your growth doesn't depend on self-attack. Real growth comes from self-honoring. A plant does not grow by yelling at itself. It grows because it receives what it needs: light, water, time. And you are like that. You grow when you receive what you need: gentleness, truth, space, support, and perhaps, for the first time, your own love. Here's a small integration practice you can carry like a touchstone. Once a day, just once, pause and ask yourself, what would it look like to treat myself as someone I deeply love? Not forever, not perfectly, just right now. Maybe it means drinking water. Maybe it means stepping outside for 2 minutes. Maybe it means speaking to yourself without cruelty. Maybe it means asking for help. Maybe it means letting yourself cry without fixing it. And if you don't know what it looks like, that's okay. Not knowing is a doorway too. You can start with one sentence. I am learning how to love myself. And the word learning matters, because it gives your heart room. Now, I want to include something important here for those of you carrying real physical or mental health struggles. Spiritual practice is not a replacement for professional care. It can be a companion to it. Honor what your body and your healthcare providers guide you toward, and let this work alongside your support system. You deserve layered care. You deserve every kind of help that helps. And still, underneath all the care, all the tools, all the healing, your true nature remains, unaffected, present, holding you. Now let's move into a deeper layer, because I can feel that you're ready. Often, the hardest part of awakening is grieving who you thought you had to be. Have you felt that? Grief for the years you spent trying. Grief for the ways you abandoned yourself to be loved. Grief for the version of you who kept hoping that if you were good enough, someone would finally see you. If that grief is here, let it be here. You don't have to rush it away. Grief is love that is reorganizing. Grief is the heart making room for truth. So if tears come, let them come. They are not weakness. They are the body releasing an old contract, an old agreement that said, I will not be myself until I am safe. And now, you are rewriting that agreement. Now you are saying, I will be myself, and I will learn how to hold myself safe. That is power, quiet power, real power. the kind that changes lives. And here's the thing. When you awaken to your true nature, you don't become less sensitive. You become less ashamed of your sensitivity. You don't become less emotional. You become less afraid of your emotions. You don't become immune to pain. You become intimate understanding with it without being consumed. This is the miracle, because you stop outsourcing your wholeness. You stop waiting for permission. You stop asking the world to certify you. And you start living from a place that cannot be taken away. Now I'm going to offer you one more image, and I want you to feel it rather than think it. Your true nature is like a lantern that has been lit your whole life, but you've been living as if the lantern is outside you, somewhere you have to reach. So you keep walking in the dark, searching for light, believing the darkness means you are lost. And then, one day, you realize the lantern is in your own hands. It always was. You didn't earn it. You didn't become worthy of it. It was given with your first breath. And the miracle isn't that the light appears. The miracle is that you finally stop running from it. Because light asks you to be seen. And being seen can feel terrifying when you've learned to survive by hiding. So if you're feeling fear around stepping into your truth, fear around changing your life, changing your relationships, changing your standards, please hear me. Fear does not mean stop. Fear often means you're close. Close to the edge of an old identity. Close to the end of an old pattern. Close to the beginning of a more honest life. And you don't have to leap. You can take one soft step, one truthful sentence, one gentler choice, one boundary, one breath. And as you do, you'll begin to notice something. The people who are meant for the real you will feel like home. The choices that align will feel like peace, even when they are hard. And the miracle of your true nature will start showing up in the simplest places. In how you speak to yourself, in how you sit with yourself, in how you forgive yourself, in how you let yourself be human. Now, let's come back to the beginning, full circle, because your heart loves completion. You've been trying to become someone you can finally feel at peace being. And I understand why. You've lived in a world that makes you believe peace is a reward for productivity, a reward for perfection, a reward for being good. But peace is not a reward. Peace is your natural state when you stop attacking yourself. Peace is what remains when you stop abandoning yourself. Peace is what arises when you remember your true nature. So here is what I want you to take with you, like a small blessing you can carry. You are not broken. You never were. You have been adapting. You have been surviving. You have been learning. And now you are remembering. Your heart already knows this. Something in you recognizes. Let that recognition be enough for today. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase some perfect awakening. Just keep returning, gently, honestly, to the place inside you that is already here, the place that can notice, the place that can breathe, the place that can hold. Because the miracle of your true nature is not waiting at the end of your journey. It is the one walking the journey. And it has been with you the whole time, quietly shining, ready to be trusted and ready to be loved.